Zambia now, a country that goes to the polls on the 13th of August in a general election that will decide the presidency, parliament, and local government. President Hakainde Hichilema of the governing United Party for National Development is seeking a second term of 5 years after his party unseated the former ruling Patriotic Front. Now, 14 candidates are on the ballot paper, but analysts say that the real contest is actually between Hichilema and Brian Mundubile, who leads the Tonse Alliance, a coalition that's built out of that former ruling party. Now, the governing party points to falling inflation, to stabilizing the currency as proof of economic recovery. And the opposition say that ordinary Zambians haven't felt that recovery in their pockets and is hoping to turn that frustration into votes. Well, to discuss what's at stake, we're now joined by Dr. Neva's Sekwila Mumba, who's the Presidential Special Envoy to President Hichilema and is also a former Vice President of Zambia. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much and good morning.
So, Zambia votes in just a week's time. How significant is this election for the country's democratic path? I know sometimes as journalists we get excited in saying that these are landmark elections. What's your feeling about these elections in particular?
Well, let me start by saying that let me start with the mundane. I think that there's a lot of excitement that comes with an election, like you have rightly put it. I think it has to do with journalism. But the truth of the matter is that I do not expect that this particular election will be unusual. I think the Zambian people are going to go to the polls, observing the usual peace that they observe. And I expect that they're going to come out in great numbers, as they have always done. And so in terms of the election itself, we do not expect anything out of the ordinary, like exaggerated violence. We're having a bit of that, but I do not think that's going to overwhelm this coming election.
You lead the New Nation Party, but you're not fielding a presidential candidate. Why have you chosen to back President Hakainde Hichilema?
First of all, President Hakainde Hichilema, myself, and our two parties have worked together at different points from 2016, and we have been partners before. My colleague has done an excellent job in his first term of 5 years. I think what he has done with the economy is nothing less than a miracle. By all standards, I think that he has scored such high levels like we've not experienced since independence. Therefore, I think it became unnecessary for me to challenge him in this election. And I did, him and I sat down and we agreed that I was going to give him my total support so that he can complete his second term. And therefore, this is something that we've done before in the past when we're both in the opposition. We are doing it now that is in government. And we think that Zambia needs Hakainde Hichilema now more than ever before in order for him to build upon the successes that he has already recorded.
Talking about inflation, government says that inflation has fallen from around 24% to about 6.5%, and that the kwacha has stabilized. Why are citizens saying that they're not feeling this in their pocket, that they're not feeling this relief that these statistics might be pointing to?
Well, I think that that is normal in every country. What we had in Zambia was that prior to the UPND and Hakainde Hichilema becoming president, the economy of our country was in a very sorry state. You recall that we were the first and only country that devoted in terms of our repayment of our debt on the continent and in the world during COVID. Our economy had collapsed. Our kwacha had lost its power. The inflation, like you've rightly put it, was high to 24%. Now we're at 6.7, 6.9. And so we can see that he inherited an economy that was completely demaciated because of the mismanagement of the resources by the previous government. So now that he's rebuilding the economy, the heavy lifting has been done over the past 5 years to make sure that the fundamentals of economics and the anchors of the economic situation are firm. We are talking about inflation, we're talking about interest rates, we're talking about the strength of our money, the kwacha. I think all those things now have become what they should be. Now we are looking to the next 5 years when we are going to start to reap the benefits of the sacrifices, the discipline that we have exercised to come to where we are today. And today, Zambia is one of the most respected economies in the world, priding itself in the strongest performing currency in the world at the moment. So Zambia is no longer in a country you can just speak about flippantly. It's a country with a robust, strong, and forward-looking economic plan.
You sound confident, but chatter suggests that this race is much closer than one would think. And in fact, opposition strategists are saying it could be a landslide for Mundubile by 60 to 70%. Both camps can't be right. Is it a close race?
Well, first of all, I mean, let's be honest. It's a process. It's an election. It's a democratic process that Zambians, at the end of the day, have to decide who becomes president. For the Mundubila side to say they win by 60%, that's a real tall order. It's a wish that every politician would have when they're sleeping and they wake up and think that they can get 60%. Zambia has got trends within which it runs. And the trends do not suggest that our colleagues are actually ready to win this election. I think they're very far away. Of course, like you've put it, they're trying to ride on the crisis they created themselves, hoping that Hichilema's work in recovering the economy does not work as fast so that they can take advantage of the crisis they created to remove Hakainde Hichilema by blaming him for all the problems they created in the economy. But I do not think that Zambians are buying into that. I don't think so. I think that we are going to see Zambians turn out in their numbers. We're going to see Zambians wanting progress. We are going to see Zambians wanting to move forward and to continue to build on the gains that have already been made by this administration. So I do not think that, I mean, they're free to claim anything. This is a claiming season, but between you and me, there is no chance that they can win this election.
If people turn out in their numbers, and one of the typical things across the continent now is that there are more and more younger voters, youth unemployment remains one of the biggest complaints on the campaign trail. So does that not work against President Hichilema?
You know, I think that the right thing to say now is that rhetoric is part of democracy, but it does not mean it's correct. And depending on who speaks the loudest, he can fool the Zambians, even to the extent that Zambians believe the rhetoric and vote for a person who is going to just destroy the economy further. Look, there are all these statements saying that unemployment, has gone, through the roof. It is not true. In 2021, unemployment was at 12.9%. Today, it's at 9.9%. So where are they getting those statistics from? But it's just lying, throwing it into social media. And some people are believing those lies. And they would be shocked if they voted for those people to realize that they're just going to make things worse. Things are better. Unemployment has gone down to 9.9. They're also saying that poverty levels have risen since HH came into government. It's a lie as well. Almost every statistic they are using, they are lying about it. Poverty levels were at 70.5% in the rural areas in 2021. It's at 60% now. And so things are improving. And yet our colleagues who created the crisis want to give the impression that the situation is worse today. It is not worse today. It is better. The international community gets it. The Zambian people get it. The people with businesses get it. The people who have been looking for order and the rule of law get it. The people that want politics of respect and politics of hard work and politics of a pointed vision for the economy, they get it. But there are those who are cadre politicians. All they want is to cadreize politics, talk about, against
Right.
other political leaders in order to gain advantage in terms of winning the election. So I think that we are confident that what has been done in the eyes of proper, when I say proper Zambians, I mean Zambians who are reading the mood and reading the progress, they are going to vote for HH and the UPND Alliance.
A final question, and perhaps if you can answer briefly because we're running out of time. A Bertelsmann Transformation Index country report on Zambia has flagged what it says specific issues such as rising arrests of opposition members, denial of bail on bailable offences, delayed court appearances, which critics are interpreting as intimidation tactics. Has that carried on? Has this been a fair playing field in terms of the run-up to the election?
Not at all. The previous administration was completely corrupt. Completely corrupt. In fact, it is for that reason that for the first time in the history of the country, we had a situation where so many of these people were arrested and taken to court, and the decisions to keep them in jail or to take them to jail was decided by the courts of law and not HH. HH is determined to ensure that corruption is fought. And by fighting corruption, you cannot stop the courts from doing what they're supposed to do. If they had a case, they argued their cases in court, and they should have been, let go. But they were not let go by the authorities and by the court system, which means that they had questions to answer and they were found guilty of something. So I just want to say that no, there are no arbitrary arrests. I think that if you compare it to the previous time in the last regime, it was worse then than it is today. Right now, there is a commitment that if somebody has been arrested, they must be given bail, they must be given bond so that, the processes of democracy and justice are not compromised.
Dr. Neves Sekwila Mumba, thank you so much indeed for your time, and we wish you a safe and peaceful election process with the will of the people being determined.
Thank you so much, my dear brother. God bless.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Neves Sekwila Mumba, Presidential Special Envoy to President Hakainde Hichilema and former Vice President of Zambia, speaking to us ahead of the 13 August elections. It's 8 o'clock, which means it's time for your news and sports headlines with Jwalane Tulongwepe and Musibudi Rachel Makura.